So you want to make a planet, but image textures are scary. Easy peasy. All you have to do is open up Blender, go right over here, add a modifier, subdivision surface, do that a couple times, and bam, you have your planet. But now, of course, we have to shade it. So you go over to the shading tab, add a color ramp, and a noise texture. Plug the factor into the factor, color into the base color. And this is how we're going to get our nice little continents. Play around with the scale, play around with color ramp until you get a nice looking planet. Not detailed enough though, so increase the detail. Now it's looking good. Take this, move it on over here. Add a mix RGB node. Plug the color into the factor. Color 1, make that a nice old green. Color 2, make that a nice old blue. Now we got our prefab all set up. But you want a realistic planet, don't you? Of course you do, you freaking jamoke. All you got to do that one is duplicate this right here. Plug that into the first color. Let's mess around a little bit. Change the scale a little bit, get a little bit of irregularity in there. Change this over to 4D so that you can play around with nice old W. Make the first color right here a dark green. Second color right here, a lighter green. Play around. But, I hear you saying, that don't look realistic. Whole planet ain't green. I gotcha. So now what you want to do is you want to add another mix RGB. Right here. Create another noise texture. Plug this noise texture's factor into the factor of the mix RGB right over here. And play around with this. Maybe add a little color ramp, color ramping. And this is going to be our desert, so you don't want it to take up too much space. That's looking good. Secondary color, you're going to want to do the same thing right over here. Duplicate these two things. Plop them together. Plug the color into the color. Then change these to a nice sandy texture. Play around with the desert till it looks a-okay. Let's play around with our original color ramp, maybe a little bit more. Delete some extremes. Move this on over here. Most of this is just, playing by eye. You want to make sure that it looks epic. Yeah. Now I want to go over to this factor, play around with this a little bit, get our deserts a nice border. Play around with the roughness a tiny bit. If you want the continents to look all epic and good as well, you can go right over here to our original noise texture. Change the roughness a little bit. Add some holes in there. They look like lakes. So now you want to play around with the ocean a little bit. So we're going to take all of these things that we created, plop them right up here. Now let's worry about the ocean. Duplicate this color ramp, duplicate this noise texture, plop them together. Do the same thing that we did to the land. Maybe make this a nice dark blue, nice deep blue. Make this a lighter blue. And the borders, I kind of want them to be a bit sandy. Let's take this, make a nice little sandy color. Get that nice and good. Pull it back a little bit so that it's absorbed by the ocean. Pull forward the dark blue. Add another, plop it right in the middle, make this the deepest, darkest blue. Now that's looking pretty good. Now we need to do our atmosphere. There are two ways that you can do that. First way is the easy way. All you got to do is move this material output over to the side, duplicate the principled BDSF, add a mix shader node, plug both shaders in, first one, second one, shader. Add a Fresnel node, plug the factor of the Fresnel into the factor of the mix shader. If it looks all weird, just flip them. Change the base color over to a blue. Let's go to the world, turn down the strength all the way, and take a look. That's looking pretty nice, but I don't care about pretty nice, I want epic. So change your render engine over to cycles. Device to GPU compute because GPUs are epic. Go over to object. So we can remove this whole thing because we're not going to need it. BDSF into surface right here. And let's go back into layout. Add, mesh, cube. Add modifier, subdivide it quite a few times. Scale it up so that it looks nice and epic. Go into shading. Shade the smooth. And we want to remove this, and we want to remove that. Add a principled volume. Plug the volume into the volume. Make this blue. Scale it down so that it's just above. Decrease the density. Now that that's looking all A-OK and also epic, we can render. So now we got ourselves a nice old planet in Blender, completely procedurally. You can do this yourself. It only took me about 10 minutes. You can too.